All right, earlier we were reporting on the death of Kebby Maphatsoe, the leader of the MK-MVA, now disbanded. And of course, we're speaking to General Keith Mokoape, preparatory committee. He was part of the committee set up on preparing for MK-MVA councils, and he's a retired general. Thank you for speaking to us. General, how would you describe Kebby Maphatsoe's legacy as a soldier? And then, of course, he was a civil servant. He was a deputy minister.
Hello, Francis, and hello to your listeners and viewers. It's with a great shock that all of us have learned of the passing of Kebby Maphatsoe. Kebby was a leader, and Kebby led MK-MVA for several years. And we know that the organization was plagued by all sorts of problems, to the extent that the ANC National Executive decided in June of this year to disband it alongside the other organization, MK National Council, that was in disagreement with MK-MVA on a number of issues. Once that disbandment had taken place or had been announced, a new committee was set up, an interim committee that was to prepare for a unity conference of MK-MVA. And Kebby, in his true leadership style, abode by the instructions of the ANC that his organization must disband, and he became part of this committee. And that's how I would remember him, that he was a disciplined soldier. He could have made some mistakes along the way, but when the organization says one, he didn't say two. He said, I will listen and do. I may question later.
Yeah.
So this committee, led by retired South African Air Force Chief General Zuma, that I'm part of, Kebby was fully part of.
One of the problems that the ANC has faced on a much bigger scale is factionalism. But many commentators would say the MK-MVA got caught up in that. Kebby Maphatsoe certainly nailed his colours to the wall, and he was always behind former President Jacob Zuma. Was that a good or a bad thing in terms of the factionalism within the ANC?
No political processes happen without a wrong here and there. And we would say, to the extent that MK-MVA wasn't able to bring together all MK military veterans, to the extent that a new body called MK National Council got formed, it meant that the MK-MVA was leaving much to be desired. And Kebby himself was part of that. But notwithstanding, former President Jacob Zuma made him Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, and on that score, he was given the responsibility of veterans. So on the one hand, he was a deputy minister, and on the other, he was leading one of the associations of a whole body of different associations of military veterans, a conflict in the first place, a conflict. But the political environment went along with that conflict, went along with that. Obviously, it worsened things. And let me say, the wisdom of the organization and the wisdom of Kebby in the latter time, and 2 months ago or so, to say, I align myself with the forces that are to unite all of us. Credit must go to Kebby. And as he leads us now, we must be able to say, all those who followed him must follow him as things are, not to want to pretend, not to want to be pretenders to the throne that does not exist. The fact of the matter is that General Zuma is now leading this team, and it is a momentous occasion. It's a historic occasion that every one of us then, through Kebby, whose soul should rest in peace, must say, let's see how all together. And indeed, Kebby said in our meetings that I will have to ensure that my constituency does not go astray now that I have come to occupy this seat. And indeed, When on the weekend, when there were threats that there were going to be lockdowns and protests and so forth and so on, despite the fact that MKMBA was disbanded, Kebby on the Sunday night issued a statement, a viral statement, where he said, people not in the name of MKMBA are we going to participate in a chaotic thing that is uncontrolled. That, I would say, is leadership. And for that, we shall miss that wisdom of his as General Msimang leads the entire military veterans of MK to a unity conference in the next couple of months.
All right, well, thank you for your time tonight and for that tribute to Kebby Maphatsoe, that's retired General Keith Mokoape.